Welcome to Mind Witchery. I'm your host, Natalie Miller, and I'm so glad you're here. Hi. Okay, this first little bit you're listening to is coming from me after I recorded the episode I have for you today and took a shower. Because as I was in the shower, I came up with the title for this episode and I just wanted to describe it a little bit. So as I was in the shower, I was like, okay, I just recorded this episode. It's about becoming. It's about this kind of process of, becoming who we are, of, growing and changing in the world. And I was thinking, what would be a good title for this? And I thought about that novel by, I think it's Milan Kundera, The Unbearable Lightness of Being. And I was like, oh, maybe it's the unbearable lightness of becoming. And then I was like, no, because it is bearable. it is bearable. And that's kind of what the episode is about. The episode is about what can we trust? What do we lean into when we are in this kind of in-between space, this liminal space where we've outgrown one identity or one way of being, and we're becoming more of ourselves. We're becoming a next kind of version. We're moving, as the parlance of this day might say, into a new era. And so that is why this episode is called On Bearing the Lightness of Becoming, because I think this becoming place does feel very light. It feels untethered. It can be deeply unsettling, especially when the times in which we live are so unsettled. But I think we can do it. I think we can do it because I am doing it. And maybe you are doing it too. So here you go. A first Mind Witchery in, I know, a long, long time, on bearing the lightness of becoming. Hello, my friend. Let me set the scene for you. I am sitting in the very early morning on my patio at a spa outside Tucson, Arizona. You might hear birds, you might hear roosters even in the background. The morning light is diffuse and beautiful. There are sagebrush and cacti and all kinds of desert plants all around me. The sky is the impossible blue of the southwestern sky. And I'm sitting here with my coffee, and I felt what has become a little bit of an unusual urge to connect with you, to reach out to you. So I know it's been long time no Mind Witchery. I know it's been long time no Sunday letter. I'm finding myself in a moment of a lot of internal processing. So today's episode, I honestly, I don't know how articulate it's going to be. I don't know how much coachy wisdom I'll be sharing. Really, what I wanted to do more was to describe where I am, because I know that for all of us out here who are growth-oriented, who are always becoming more and more of who we are, we do arrive at this place. And I'm here. I've been here for weeks, months. I've been here for a while. And I hoped that if I described it and talked about it a little bit, that if you are in this place, you might find some comfort, or if you also know this place, you might find some resonance. Okay, so this place, what am I talking about? I'm talking about a moment in which we've outgrown one set of beliefs or one identity, a certain way of being. It's like it doesn't fit anymore, almost like when we were kids and we outgrew our shirts and pants. It's like they don't fit anymore. They don't, I try to put them on and they're too short. I think that happens often for us when we are really growth focused in our lives. The ways that we were, and, for an entrepreneur, this might be the offers that we have or the way that we market. It just doesn't quite fit anymore. In relationship or in friendship, it might be the kinds of conversations we have or the sorts of things we do with people. They don't fit anymore. In our own self-care, it might be like the routines that we had or the practices that served us, they don't quite fit anymore. And, I think it's often because we are accessing more of ourselves, maybe embracing or integrating more of ourselves, and it just turns out there's more to us than is currently served, accommodated by our lives, our businesses, our relationships. And it gets uncomfortable. The temptation in these moments is to, I think, maintain the status quo. Because, our status quo isn't the status quo. We're already doing things differently, aren't we? We've already kind of crafted these bigger, more spacious lives, but it's not big enough, not spacious enough. It's not big enough, not spacious enough. So, but the impulse is to just keep going, right? So in my case, that is, I release a podcast every Thursday. I write a letter, a blog post every Sunday. That's kind of what I had set up and what I maintained for years. And all of a sudden, I was like, I don't like the pressure I'm feeling to do it. It doesn't any longer feel like, oh, I've got this channel that I'm ready to fill. It felt like, oh, I've got this channel and I'm not sure what to say because I'm figuring it out for myself right now. Right? Or I've got this Sunday morning and I don't feel the need for the affirmation of the consistent showing up. For a while that felt really, really good. I was proving to myself, oh, look, because P.S., your girl over here is not the most consistent person. I'm floating through the world, everyone. I'm floating through the world and I do things differently all the time. And I'm not a person with a lot of routines and a lot of consistency. And so I think there was something about showing up to write, showing up to podcast week after week after week that felt like, oh, look, see, I can do it. And I'm in a place now where I don't need that reassurance as much, where it is even more okay for me to be who I am. And listen, as promised, I'm still, even as I'm talking to you right now, I'm still figuring it out. I'm still figuring out what it is and what it means. But I guess the larger point is that something is changing for me. I'm in a liminal space. The things I want to talk about and the channels through which I want to talk about them, something's shifting here. And, there's a part of me that craves stability. The human part of me wants to tell you exactly what it is and exactly what you can expect. And the human part of me, another part of my human part, is so open in this moment to other possibilities and to my power to create something even better, something even more resonant, even more aligned. That, I guess I'm leaning that direction. I'm pulled, I'm leaning more towards allowing myself to slowly, in my own time, become what's next, or make space and make channels for what's next. So in this liminal space, I think what happens is we find that what used to fit and what used to work doesn't quite work anymore, or it doesn't feel as good. Can you hear? I just went inside because it's getting warm already. It's very early in Arizona and it's already getting really warm. So, in routine, for example, it may be that like the morning routine that used to fit, it doesn't quite fit anymore. It doesn't serve us anymore. Or, the workout, or whatever sorts of routines and habits we've set up for ourselves, they used to serve us and now they don't. In relationship, this could be a romantic partnership or a friendship that's not quite what feeds us anymore. My goodness, this is one of the things that comes up so often with my clients, is where they are, frankly, just growing in a different direction or at a different pace from the people in their lives, and all of a sudden no longer really enjoy the company of these other people, or no longer find the connection as fulfilling as they used to. This is like not easy, by the way. It's really not. It's really hard. And then, of course, this can also show up in our businesses, in our work. For those of us who are entrepreneurs, it can look like, wow, the offer that I used to love to deliver, I no longer love to deliver. Or the way that I used to really enjoy marketing my business, it doesn't feel good anymore. It doesn't feel aligned. It doesn't feel like it gives me the room to be who I am, or it doesn't feel like it's expressing who I'm becoming. Yeah, and that phrase right there, who I'm becoming, I think I love the gerund in there, the ing verb. It's like, I say all the time, everything is always changing and so are we. And so I think in these liminal space moments, that's really what it is. It's that, that moment on a bicycle where you shift gears, and there's a moment where you're pedaling, you shift gears, and nothing is catching until, you pedal enough. There's enough sort of revolutions of the pedals that click, it like clicks back into place. That's where I am. And maybe that's where you have also been. And that's where we can be, I think, sometimes in our lives, our businesses, our relationships, our, everyday, where a gear has shifted, but I haven't yet clicked into the next way. So me, Natalie, having been here, I haven't had the impulse to share outwardly because I'm still figuring out inwardly. My regularly scheduled programming, it doesn't fit anymore. I do still, I think, want to share in this way, but what I want to share and when I want to share, and even maybe a little bit how I want to share, that is all changing. I can feel it changing. Once upon a time, like let's say last year, I had a note in my Evernote app. I like Evernote. I had a note in my Evernote app with just like dozens of, 2 to 3 word podcast ideas. And so generally speaking, when a week would roll around, I'd be like, oh, this is exactly what I want to talk about. And then even if I didn't have that kind of like organic, this is what I want to talk about, I would just go consult my list. And that's how I was able to show up week after week after week. I don't have that now. I just don't have it. I'm still very happily coaching. In fact, I'm here in Arizona doing a one-on-one intensive with a client. This fits very well. This is such a satisfying kind of gear that is in place. I adore coming to spend a couple of days with a client to deep dive into some aspect of their business. Like that feels so fucking good. It feels so potent and it feels so amazing. I'm doing a bunch of bespoke workshops right now where someone says, I really want my team to learn X or Y or Z. And so I'm going and I'm doing bespoke workshops. That feels so fucking good. It feels like amazing. Again, very, very potent. I have my witchy business community where, entrepreneurs are coming together. This summer, we're working on money mindset, thinking around money, and that feels so fucking good. So my work, thankfully, is feeling great. And but something's shifting around my ideas, around what I'm here to say. So I will tell you that I know that a lot of this shift is coming from personal, like deeply personal changes and work that I'm doing right now. I have a new therapist. I have a new coach. I'm making some changes in my personal life that I'm excited to tell you about, though not today. And I know that that is where a lot of the change and shifting is coming from. I guess I know that that is how I am becoming more of who I am, or am embracing more of who I am. So that's maybe another thing that you might resonate with. It's in these moments that where we are doing more personal work, or where we are making deeper changes in the way we are in the world, in who we are and how we are. It's in these moments maybe that the gear is shifting and we have that like sort of gearless moment where we're just sort of spinning. As I'm saying this, I'm realizing, because I remember telling you about that Dirty Dancing Baby Houseman moment, my favorite moment, which is not the moment where, Johnny says nobody puts baby in a corner. I actually never even liked that moment so much, but more the moment where, she goes to see him at night and she's like, she's in that, like the gears have shifted, but they haven't yet clicked in. And she's like, I don't know who I am. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I do know this. And I guess maybe that's the last thing that I want to say, is that I think what can steady us in these moments of dramatic change and shift, besides support, P.S., like I tell you about my new therapist and my new coach because I am so grateful to have them to help me with all of the processing that's happening right now. But the other steadying thing is that I do think in these moments there is a deeper truth that has presented itself, or that we have uncovered, to say it in a less passive way. I do think that there is a deeper truth. There's something deeper that we've discovered, or that we have embraced or accessed in a new and deeper way. And that can be so steadying. Even as it's like, oh my God, like this whole life I built, it doesn't fit. I need to remake, I need to do over, I need to shift, I need to change. That is very unsettling. But what can be really settling is orienting toward dedicating ourselves to this deeper truth that is revealing itself. And maybe, it's something you already know, but you're experiencing at a next level. Maybe it's a moment where you are testing something that you believe. That's I think, a bit of what's happening for me. Over here, I'm always saying, like, when you do what you want, when you follow your desires, those will lead you to opportunity. Those will lead you to your best contribution in the world. Like, I really do believe that, but it feels to me like in this moment, I'm testing it. I'm saying, wait a minute, is that really true? And so if I don't want to, show up with my consistent content making, I can trust that. I can really, truly believe that. And it's like, well, only one way to find out. Test it, see what happens. And I'm always saying, everything is always changing, and so am I. Everything is always changing, and so am I. And it's like, all right, well, are you ready to change in a more dramatic way? Everything's always changing. You can change everything. You can trust your ability to do that. It's like, yep, I'm going to be testing that too. One more thing that I have, oh my gosh, this was the idea that I learned as a sophomore in college at a little liberal arts school in Iowa. I had this moment. I can tell you what the light in the room was like. I can tell you it's like, I don't know, the heavens opened up and like shone angel light upon this dry erase board where my professor was illustrating an idea that Ralph Waldo Emerson, writes about in his essays, which is that the more fully individual we are, the more we are expressing universality, right? Meaning, like, the truer you are to yourself, your whole self, with all her contradictions, with all her quirks, with all her desires, with all the way that she is, the truer you are to that, the more able you are to be that, the better, the more fully you fit into the whole. And by the whole, I mean both the WHOLE, like the grand scheme of things. And I also mean the HOLE, right? Meaning that, like, there is a role. You are a piece of the grand, ever-changing puzzle that is humanity. Just like a puzzle piece, right? Like, puzzle pieces are unique. When you go searching for a jigsaw puzzle piece and it's like, okay, it's got a hole over here and it's got a tab over there. I do, by the way, in jigsaw puzzles, we call the little tabs penises. So just say that. I said tab, but what I meant was penis. Speaking of being all of who you are, right? So, okay, it's got a little penis here and it's got a tab here, and it's mostly blue, but it definitely has like a streak of pink through it. And there's only one puzzle piece that's like that. There's only one. You are like that too. I am like that too. There's only one of us in all of time, as Martha Graham says. There's only one of us in all of time. And so the more we are our whole individual selves, the truer we are, the more comfortably, the more assertively, powerfully we fit into that bigger puzzle. And fitting into that bigger puzzle means finding our people, means finding our purpose, means like doing the thing that only we can do, making the contribution, expressing the point of view that's ours alone to express, ours alone to make, right? And P.S., right? And that is what makes us most secure in the collective. We are most secure in the collective, not when we're trying to be like all the other pieces. We're most secure in the collective when we are being exactly who we are, right? And then here's the ellipses, here's the ... And this puzzle is magic, and this puzzle is always changing. So it's like, those puzzles where it's like two-sided. It's one puzzle on one side and another puzzle on the other side. Those are kind of fun, actually. So that's a challenging puzzle. This puzzle is challenging in that the whole puzzle is always shifting and changing. So the people with which we click, they're changing. Those pieces are changing. The positions, the jobs, the work, the points of view with which we click, those are changing. Right? And so we have to keep becoming, it's not just being true to ourselves, we have to keep becoming true to ourselves. Oh my gosh, miraculous. I honestly thought this was going to be 6.5 minutes of like, hey, love you, miss you, everything's always changing and I'm really changing and I don't have much to say, but it sounds like looking at this voice memo telling me I've been talking for a while now, maybe the gears are starting to click into place. So here's what I want you to know. I am going to keep showing up here, but not every Thursday, not with the regularity that I have been, because that doesn't fit right now. And because I'm never going to show up. That's not true. Because I am unwilling to show up. I do not want to show up because I should, rather than because I want to. I am done with that. I do very, very little of that. And the less I do of the things I quote unquote should, the better life gets for me. So I'm not going to show up because I should be releasing an episode. I'm going to show up because I want to be releasing an episode. And I might not show up with anything figured out at all. And I guess I wanted to say like, hey, if you're there in some place in your life right now, if you are there in your work, in your relationships, in even just like your morning routine, your bedtime routine, your workouts, whatever, right? If you're there, if something's just not quite fitting, I just wanted to say, hey, yeah, me too. Me too. And to give us both, I suppose, the reassurance that this doesn't mean that anything's wrong and that even as it is unsettling, that we really can trust that the key to clicking back into place is to just keep becoming who we are, is to keep co-creating with the world that we are surrounded by, to keep exploring it, to keep finding the next resonant piece, the next resonant offer, the next resonant client, the next resonant lover, the next resonant practice, the next resonant community. So here we are changing. Here we are becoming, and I'm proud of us. I'm proud of us. I believe in us. I don't know what happens next, but I know this. I know that the only way out is through. The only way out is through. There's no going back. If it doesn't fit anymore, it doesn't fit. And so the thing to do is to trust that our our desires, our intuitions, our inclinations are leading us to the next clicks. Okay, thank you so much for listening. I hope this helped you. It helped me, so I'll just trust. It helped me. I hope it helps you. I hope you're well, and bye for now. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mind Witchery. To catch all the magic I'm offering, please subscribe to the show. Or if you want a little bit of weekly witchiness in your inbox, sign up for my Sunday letter at mindwitchery.com. If today's episode made you think of a friend or loved one, your sister, your neighbor, please tell them about it. We need more magic makers in this troubled world. Like all good things, this podcast is co-created by stellar people. Our music is by fabulous DJ, artist, and producer Shammy D. Our gorgeous art is by the sorcerers at New Moon Creative. Mind Witchery is produced in conjunction with Particulate Media, K.O. Myers, executive producer. And I am Natalie Miller. Till next time.